Man, Shalom, everybody. What up? How y'all doing? Welcome back to Rising Scripts. I know it's been a minute. For Rising Scripts. But we about to kick it off today. Get my shit together. All right. Take my stuff off so I can read. All right. So, in the previous Rising Scripts, man, we finished off with the book of Judith. The last Rising Scripts that I was here for, or that I read, we finished off the book of Judith. And since we finished off the book of Judith, the next book in the Apocrypha is the rest of Esther, the rest of the chapters of the book of Esther. But we're not going to read that because we're going to go ahead and read the book of Esther first. Before we get to the rest of Esther, let's read the book of Esther. We're going to do that and see what Esther is talking about. So I had to take my hat off my head so we can read. So I'm going to put the Apocrypha up for right now until we finish Esther off. And then once we finish Esther, we'll finish with the Apocrypha and pull that back out and get to the rest of Esther so we can finish it off. We will have officially finished off the Apocrypha books, or the Apocrypha books, and we can continue on with some of the other books within the Bible, most likely some of the prophets. Shalom, Adama, shalom. Welcome to Rising Scripts, man, or ma'am. So Esther has a total of 10 chapters. And preferably it's like 4 pages. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Esther is about 4 pages. We're probably not gonna do all 4 today. We might. I don't know. We might. We'll see. We'll see how it runs. We might do 3 today. We might do 3 pages in Esther today. We'll see how it goes. 3 pages in Esther, and then come back and finish off the last couple of pages of Esther in the Bible, and then jump into the Apocrypha to finish off the rest of the book of Esther out of there. All right, but before we do, man, let's open up with the books of the Bible. Let's go over the books of the Bible. Man, I have not been doing it, so I'm gonna be kind of, I'll probably be rusty, man. I've been bullshitting. Or at least I'll say I've been bullshitting. I haven't been reading the last couple of days. I've been busy doing other shit. But it's still no excuses. But I have breath to breathe today. And since I have breath to breathe, then we're going to go ahead and read, man. We're going to get up and read. That's the least I can do, is wake up and read and seek the Most High's face. See what it is and what it ain't, and what we can and what we can't. All right, books of the Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, which we are about to read, the book of Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Lamentations, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, First Esther, Second Esther, Tobit, Judith, the rest of Esther, which we'll read after we finish reading Esther. The rest of Esther, the Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, Baruch, the Song of the Three Holy Children, the History of Susanna, the Prayer of the Destruction of Bel and the Dragon, the Prayer of Manasses, First Maccabees, Second Maccabees, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, First Corinthians, Second Corinthians, Ephesians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. Yep. First Thessalonians, Second Thessalonians, First Timothy, Second Timothy, Titus, Hebrews, Philemon, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James. Yep. 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, Jude, and Revelations. And those were the books of the Bible, man. Those were the books of the Bible. So now that we got that out the way, let's get Esther out the way. Let's get Esther out the way. Let's read about the sister Esther. Blow up the trumpet and read about the sister Esther, man. You 6 minutes in. Esther. So, okay. I don't know what it has in y'all Bibles, but in my Bible, it has like a preface before the book of Esther. It says, this is a short story recording events involving a Jewish girl, Esther, in the court of the king of Persia, about 50 years after some of the Jews returned to Jerusalem from exile. In a beauty contest, Esther was selected as a new queen for the Persian king. Esther risked her life to protect the Jewish people, and they ain't Jewish people, they were the Jews, the Israelites, to protect the Jewish people from the plot to destroy them, and possibly written by Mordecai, which is her uncle, Esther's uncle and guardian. The book of Esther presupposes that the continuing providential care of God, though God is never mentioned, for his covenant people, and Christians too may be assured that of God's providence at work in the preservation of his church. The book of Esther. The book of Esther, the removal of Queen Vashti. Now it says a beauty contest, but it is very, very, this is one of the key points of Esther is it's not that it was just a beauty contest. It was the fact of what Vashti was doing, or what she did and what she didn't do. Vashti was disobedient to her husband, the king. She was disobedient to her husband, the king, and through her disobedience is why the beauty pageant, as it says, came about in the first place. So don't be a Vashti. Don't be a Vashti, women. Don't be a Vashti. That's not what you want. The removal of Queen Vashti. The book of Esther, chapter 1. The book of Esther, chapter 1. Let's get it. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, and this is Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even to Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. And that in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces being before him. And when he showed his riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 104 days, 180 days. They was partying for 180 days, man. Shit. That's damn near a quarter of the year. Over a quarter, almost half the year. No, that is half the year. Half a year they was partying. Let the party continue. That boy got some money. Who party for 180 days now? Who can party? like straight party for 180 days. But Ahasuerus did. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. And after 180 days was over, he was still like, let the party continue. We're going to feast some more, baby. Now, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings, and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, and upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. And they gave them drink of vessels of gold, and the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, and according to the state of the king. And the drink was according to the law, and none did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house, that they should do according to every man's pleasure. And also Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. Now on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehaman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come to the king's commandment by his chamberlains, and therefore was the king very wroth. That's the key point right there. She refused. He just wanted to show off how pretty she was. Hey, y'all seen my baby Vashti? Ooh, I got one fine queen right there, baby. Let me show y'all. Go get her. Now, where my people at? Mehaman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, Carcass. Go get that girl. Bring me my wife. He's kind of drunk. Ooh. Y'all ain't got no real women. Let me show y'all a woman. Go get Vashti. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew the law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshena, Shether, Admatha, Tarshish, Mers, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom. And what shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she had not performed the commandment of King Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. And when it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. Oh yeah, it was gonna have a ripple down effect, If the queen can disobey the king, and look what I did, girl, fuck him. Then the women who are underneath the prince's wives and the regular ordinary men, their women would do the same, because it was a certain order that was supposed to have been in place. Likewise, the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen, that thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. And if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus. And let the king give royal estate unto another that is better than she. Go get you another wife, man. Find you somebody who gonna do what you ask and what you say. The hell with Vashti. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. Because if the king could get him another wife, then, hey, that boy right there could knock me down and get another wife too if I start acting crazy. Damn right. And the saying pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people. Chapter 2, Esther chosen to be queen. Now after these things, now that's an important thing right there, that last verse, that every man should bear rule in his own house. Should bear rule. Every man should bear rule in his own house. It don't say if you this or you that. It say every man should bear rule. That was the decree. Esther chosen to be queen, chapter 2. Now after these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hesh, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the things pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, and she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Hesh or Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. Now, and the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification, and with such things as belonging to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maidens unto the best place of the house of the women. Esther had not shown her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purification accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 months with sweet odors. Shit, they ain't doing that today. Get your funk ass in that purification room. Put that myrrh on you, girl. Get them good odors on you. And with other things for the purifying of the women. And then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, and to the custody of Shaashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. And she came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, and which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight, more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. That's right, Esther. Get that shit. And she ain't need much. Hey, just give me what Haggai gonna give me, man. I'll take that. I'm gonna rock with that. Watch what I do. I'm gonna make it work. See that little thing flying around here. I'm gonna kill that sucker. Then the king made a great feast unto all the princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And the plot to kill Ahasuerus fails. Let me see. Oh, Lord. Let me get the plot to kill Ahasuerus. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet shown her kindred nor her people as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. And in those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. Oh, they wanted to put that work in. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof of Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out, therefore, that they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. Chapter 3, Haman's plot against the Jews. Now after these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advised him, and set him seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did he reverence. Then the king's servant, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, Why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand, for he had told them that he was a Jew. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did he him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath. How dare that nigga? Oh, you don't want to bow? I got something for that ass. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai. Oh, he wanted to beat that boy, but he wanted to beat him up. To lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him the people of Mordecai, and wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. And the first month, that is, the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, and neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. And then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of the king Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring. Should I think about how they used to put the ring in like the old movies, they put the ring down in that wax, the seal. Ugh. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy and to kill and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even unto the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for the prey. The copy of the writing for the commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. And when Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Mordecai asked Esther for help. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her, and then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent a raiment to clothe Mordecai and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. And then called Esther to Hathach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hathach went forth to Mordecai into the streets of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given unto Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. And again Esther spake unto Hathach, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his that put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, and that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king for these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. And then Esther commanded to answer. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that this shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. He was like, hey, don't think you gonna get away with this shit. Just because you up and down with the king, don't mean that you gonna get away with it when they find out you one of us. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, and who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. And I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in into the house, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him. Just go ahead and fast from it in. Fast from it 3 days, man. Fast from it 3 days. Don't eat or drink anything, day or night, for 3 days. Chapter 5. Esther's intervention. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day that Esther put on royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so that when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther his golden scepter. Come hither. That was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. And then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom. And Esther answered, If it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come to this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther had said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, My petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant me my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king had said. Haman has gallows made. Then went Haman forth that day joyful with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. And nevertheless, Haman refrained himself. And when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the princes and servants of the king. Haman said, moreover, Yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared by myself, but myself, and tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting in the king's gate. Then said Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, Let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon, and then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. Chapter 6, Mordecai honored. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the books of the records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, 2 of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity had been done to Mordecai for this? And then said the king's servant that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him. And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him. And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in all in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to honor more than myself? And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man with all whom the king delighteth to honor, and to bring him on horseback through the streets of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hadst said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken. And then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the streets of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate. But Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife, and all his friends, everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlain, and hasted to bring Haman unto the banquet that Esther had prepared. Chapter 7. The downfall of Haman. So the king and Haman came to banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day, at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. And then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if I please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that durst presume in his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and the enemy of this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine. And Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. And then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, he covered Haman's face. They covered Haman's face. And Habana, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows, 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Chapter 8. The decree is revoked. Now on that day, when the king Ahasuerus gave the house of Haman, the Jews, enemy unto Esther the queen, and Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was unto her. And the king took off his ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai. And Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king, and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleased in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in all the king's provinces. For how? Got that sucker. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then the king Ahasuerus said unto Esther the queen, and to Mordecai the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hand upon the Jews. And write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes called at the time in the 3rd month, that is the month Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants, and the deputies, and the rulers of the provinces which are found from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, and wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city to gather themselves together, and to stand for their life, to destroy and slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. And upon one day, all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, of which is an Adar, which is the month Adar, let's mark that. Namely upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. The first month is normally around, the first month, which is Nisan, is around March, April time frame, springtime. So that makes the month of Adar around February, March, depending on if it's a leap year or not. And the copy of the writing, let me mark it like this too. The copy of the writing for the commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, and the Jews should be ready against that day to avenge themselves of their enemies, on their enemies. And so the post that rode upon mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on by the king's commandment. And the decree was given at Shushan the palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness and joy and honor, and in every province and in every city, whithersoever the king commanded, the king's commandment and his decree came, the Jews had joy and gladness, a feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Jews for the fear of the Jews fell upon them. Chapter 9. We're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. Finish off to chapter 10. Chapter 9, victory of the Jews. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Jews hoped to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Jews had rule over them that hated them. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus to lay hand on such as sought their hurt. And no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all people. And all the rulers of the provinces and the lieutenants and the deputies and the officers of the king helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the king's house, and his fame went out throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai waxed greater and greater. And thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, and slaughter and destruction, and did what they would unto those that had hated them. And in Shushan the palace the Jews slew and destroyed 500 men, and Parshandatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Paratha, and Adalia, and Aradatha, and Parashta, and Erishai, and Eradai, and Vajazatha, and the 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hammedatha, the enemy of the Jews, slew they, but on the spoil laid they not their hand. And on that day, the number of those that were slain in Shushan the palace was brought before the king. And the king said unto Esther the queen, the Jews have slain and destroyed 500 men in Shushan the palace, and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's provinces? And now, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. Or what is thy request further? And it shall be done. And then said Esther, if it please the king, let it be gathered to the Jews which are in Shushan to do tomorrow also according unto the day's decree. And let Haman's 10 sons be hanged upon the gallows. And the king commanded it so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month Adar, and slew 300 men at Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hand. But the other Jews that were in the king's provinces gathered themselves together, and stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000. 75,000. But they laid not their hands on the prey. They killed 75,000, man. 75,000. The Feast of Purim instituted. But the Jews that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, and on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day Of the same they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore, the Jews of the villages that dwelt in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month Adar a day of gladness and feasting, and a good day, and of sending portions one to another. So Purim on the 14th day, which is the 14th day of Purim, the 14th day of the month Adar, which is the 12th month, is which is called Purim, is almost like I could say you can liken it, even though I don't celebrate Christmas, you can liken it to Christmas because it's a day that people sent gifts one to another. And this is the same thing you do, or that so-called Christians do for Christmas. So people who maybe come out of doing holidays that are not of the Most High, when you really see what you can and what you can't and what it is and what it ain't, there are days that you can do similar things. The feast or the day of Purim would be a day that, hey, I'm going to send gifts to people. You want to buy them stuff? Don't celebrate Christmas. Celebrate Purim. Give them gifts on Purim, which happens on the 14th day of the 12th month, which is Adar, which may fall around February, March time frame. Because March, April is when spring starts, and the spring is the first, when the spring starts is when the first month starts. That's the beginning of the year in the springtime, not in winter, not January 1st. January 1st is not the beginning of the year. The springtime is. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the kings Ahasuerus, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly. So the 14th and the 15th day of the month Adar would be Purim. And as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which they turned unto them from sorrow and joy, and from mourning unto a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and of sending portions one to another, and gifts to the poor. And the Jews undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written unto them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of all the Jews, had devised against the Jews to destroy them, and had cast pur, that is, the lot to consume them and to destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he commanded by letters that his wicked device, which he devised against the Jews, should return upon his own head, and that he and all his sons should be hanged on the gallows. And wherefore they called these days Purim, after the name of Pur. And therefore, for all the words of this letter and of that which they had seen concerning this matter, and which had come unto them, the Jews ordained and took upon them, and upon their seed, and upon all such as joined themselves unto them, so as it should not fail, that they would keep these 2 days according to their writings. What are these 2 days? Purim, 2 days, would keep these 2 days. Purim. Purim is 2 days long. 14th and the 15th Adar, the 12th month. Mark it on your calendar, baby. But not December, not the 14th and 15th day of December. No, the 14th and 15th day of the 12th month, which is Adar, which is around February, March timeframe. That they would keep these 2 days according to their writing and according to their appointed time every year, and that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, and every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from their seed. So we should always thank Queen Esther. We should remember these things. Then Esther the queen, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai the Jew, wrote with all authority to confirm the second letter of Purim. And he sent the letters unto all the Jews to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus with words of peace and truth, to confirm these days of Purim in their times appointed according to as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoyed them, and as they had decreed for themselves and for their seed the matters of the fasting and their cry. And the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book, chapter 10, the greatness of Mordecai. And the king Ahasuerus laid a tribute upon the land and upon the isles of the sea, and all the acts of his power and of his might, and the declaration of the greatness of Mordecai, whereunto the king advanced him. Are they not written in the books of the chronicles of the kings of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was next unto King Ahasuerus, and great among the Jews, and accepted of the multitude and of his brethren, seeking the wealth of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. Man. And that was the book of Esther. That was the book of Esther. Hey, we finished it, man. We finished the book of Esther, and the next time we come to for Rising Scripts, we will pick up in the rest of the book of Esther, which is in the Apocrypha, and we will finish off the Apocrypha. The rest of the book of Esther is the rest of chapter 10, chapter 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, which is only 3 pages. So, Lord willing, that would be something we could probably take on tomorrow. We'll see, man. I got to get my ass up. I got to get my ass up and rise in scripts, man. But once we finish reading the rest of the book of Esther, we will have finished the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha will be done. Hey, we out of there, baby. We did that thing. We just got to keep pushing. We just got to keep pushing a little bit at a time, man. A little bit at a time. We have all we need to succeed, baby. So, I'm going to blow up the trumpet for Queen Esther and Mordecai for the 14th and the 15th day of the month of Adar, which is the feast of Purim, the feast of Purim, to be kept with great gladness and joy, and gifts can be given and sent to one another on those days. So you want to send some gifts? Hey, don't celebrate Christmas, celebrate Purim. Hey, they're gonna have that good sale going on after so say Christmas is over, man. So you get you some good stuff for the low, and put it up for for the time of Purim. If you want to send gifts to people, and send them a Purim gift. Happy Purim, happy feast. 2 days, the 14th and the 15th day, man. Blow the trumpets for Mordecai, man. Mordecai's greatness and Queen Esther's greatness as well. For the things they did for the house of Israel at that time with King Ahasuerus' help and the Most High's help, who used Esther and Mordecai to help the Israelites at that time. So we blow up the trumpet and we give honor to them. We give honor to them and the day that they decreed for every family and every generation, for all Jews, all Israelites everywhere, in every city and every province, to keep these 2 days in remembrance of how Queen Esther and Mordecai were used by the Most High God to save the children of Israel, man. Purim, the day of Purim. Among many days, man. There's multiple, quite a few feast days. Purim is just one. Purim, the destruction of Nicanor. The destruction of Nicanor is another one. Get your hands down. Kill that waltz. Yeah, destruction of Nicanor is another one. These are just some of the feasts: Passover, Pentecost, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the new moons, the Sabbaths. Days that the Most High ordained, that were ordained of Him to be kept. Not this bullshit we keep here, like Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day and Christmas, Thanksgiving, wicked ass New Year's. That ain't the real New Year's, Simple stuff. So I advise everybody, open your Bibles, man. Open your Bibles or open your book, whatever book you have that for whatever God you worship. Open your books and see what it is and what it ain't, and what you can and what you can't. My people, handle your business and do what you can and don't do what you can't. Make sure you know. Make sure you know. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day, man. Get done what you have to get done. This has been Rise in Scripts for today. We read the book of Esther. The book of Esther, chapter 1 through chapter 10. So, shalom. We'll come back next time with the rest of Esther. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your people, man. We out here reading shit, man. Learning shit. Doing shit. Trying to be better. Shalom out. I'm out here.